Hello, my name's Alec. Today's documentary, we're going to meet some people with first-hand accounts of the United States imperialism effects. The U.S. switch to an imperialist behavior that occurred in 1898 has been a topic of great historical attention. After all, the U.S. has generally claimed to stand in opposition to the practice of taking colonies, to be an advocate of freedom, democracy, and self-government for all. Some historians believe that this imperialist period was a great aberration, or a mistake that the U.S. would never repeat, and one that goes against everything that the U.S. stands for. Others think that America really continued to have a kind of informal colonial influence throughout the 20th century. First, we will meet a war veteran of the Spanish-American War. Hello, I'm here in Raven Rocks, West Virginia, interviewing Harrison Lincoln, a veteran from the Spanish-American War. He fought under Teddy Roosevelt and obtained a pretty severe leg injury. Hello, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I just finished eating some of my wife's chicken pot pie for lunch. It's mighty tasty, let me tell you.
Sounds like you're living a pretty good life.
Well, I reckon I'd have a better life if I didn't have this leg injury. I busted it up in that godforsaken war.
Ah, yes, the Spanish-American War. Please enlighten our viewers on what went down during the Spanish-American War.
Well, it was a pretty bloody war, let me tell you. One of my buddies told me that something like 3,000 men ended up dying in it. While we were fighting, men on each side were dropping like flies to many different types of diseases.
I'm sorry you had to go through that. Where were you stationed to fight at?
I was sent to the Philippines, which is over in Asia, to fight in the Battle of Manila Bay. I believe it was on May 1st, 1898. And I think that was the first major battle of the Spanish-American War. And I was a part of the American Asiatic Squadron under Commodore George Dewey. And we fought against the Spanish Pacific Squadron, and we kicked their asses pretty bad.
Thank you for this interview with Mr. Lincoln.
You're welcome. USA.
After the Spanish-American War, the United States acquired the Philippines. We wanted to see how this has affected the Filipino population, so we are here in the Philippines interviewing a man from the local city of Olongapo. So please introduce yourself first. What was your life like before the war?
Before the war started, I was a part of the Philippine Revolution, a struggle for independence from Spain. We started off as a secret organization, but then we planned an armed revolt against Spanish rule. Our attack failed, and the revolution's leader, Emilio Aguinaldo, was exiled to China.
So what happened when America started its war against Spain?
Right after the war started, Aguinaldo, our leader, came back to the Philippines, and the revolution continued. Soon after, we had gained control of much of the Philippines. At this point, we were really happy with the Americans. What we didn't know is that they had their own interests in mind.
What do you mean? What did the U.S. do wrong?
The U.S. easily won the war, but the Treaty of Paris was where it accepted control of the Philippines. We had thought we won our freedom, but in reality, the U.S. had taken our freedom from us.
So what did you do about it?
I enlisted in the local militia to fight U.S. imperialism. The next month, I fought in the Second Battle of Manila. That battle started the Philippine-American War. The war was terrible. After the U.S. came out on top, 250,000 of us were dead, and the Catholic Church of the Philippines was disestablished as the state church. The United States forced English to become the primary language of our country.
Did you ever get your independence?
Well, in 1902, the United States Congress passed the Philippine Act, which provides for the creation of the Philippine Assembly, the members of which would be elected by us, the Filipinos. This act was superseded by the 1916 Philippine Autonomy Act, which contained the first declaration of a United States commitment to grant independence to us. But we have yet to gain full independence. I plan to continue to advocate for independence of our country.
Well, I'm sorry that the U.S. has caused you so many trouble, but good luck with your movement for independence. I'm here with the head of Chinese Trade and Commerce Department, Mo Hanji,
你好，
to discuss the effects of imperialism on a global trade. After the Spanish-American War, the U.S. acquired the Philippines, Guam, and Hawaii. How did these newly acquired territories affect the relations between China and the United States?
你知道吗？我觉得我们的老师非常丑，他又傻，还长得像乌龟。他为什么要给我们这么难的作业做？我真的不懂。
What was an effect of this opening of trade?
我觉得苹果非常好吃，还喜欢吃香蕉和橘子。你的鼻子很大，你的耳朵也很大，你非常丑，你的眼睛还挺小的。
Can you explain the Boxer Rebellion?
我真的想回家，这个地方太无聊了。我的这个成绩也太差了，现在85分，我真的得把它提起来。但是我的组里面的学生都太傻了，他们这儿断那儿断的，他的腿都修不好。
Did you support the decision to trade with America?
我觉得我真的想去打乒乓球，我要打网球，打篮球，我什么球都喜欢。我喜欢很大的球，我喜欢大球、小球，还有红球、绿球。
Thank you, Mr. Mohanji.
不客气，再见。
Today we have a very important interview. The President of the United States. Thank you for doing this interview, Mr. President.
Of course.
So I understand you are for imperialism. Why are you so supportive of it?
Yes, I am. I'm supportive of imperialism because it allows our nation to prosper. Although the Spanish-American War cost money and a few American lives, it was worth it in the long run.
Can you explain the Spanish-American War?
Well, there were many causes of the Spanish-American War. One cause was the sinking of the USS Maine. The ship exploded and killed 260 Americans, and the Spanish were blamed. Although there was no convincing evidence that the Spanish had anything to do with the explosion, it increased tensions between the two countries and brought us closer to war.
What are the other causes?
Another cause of the war was yellow journalism.
But like Asian reporters.
No, yellow journalism was sensationalistic reporting featuring bold headlines trying to provoke war. Joseph Pulitzer and William Randolph Hearst were famous yellow journalists. The Delone Act was a letter written by the Spanish minister to President McKinley and was highly critical. Many considered it an official insult to American honor. These causes built tension between the Americans and the Spanish and eventually started the war.
What were some of the effects of the war?
Well, from the war, Spain gave up Guam, Puerto Rico, Cuba, and the Philippines. Because of the long, unsafe passage to the Philippines, the U.S. also took over Hawaii. For all the territories, the U.S. paid $20 million in concessions for the damages. That was well worth the territories. These acquisitions established America as an imperial nation.
And how does that make your nation prosper?
Well, this helps our nation through trade because now we have other nations who mandatorily have to trade with us. And also, this opens the door to Asia. Asia has the biggest amount of consumers for our resources and products, so also being able to trade with them makes our economy much stronger.
Is that the only reason that imperialism is beneficial?
No, many people believe that it helps the other nations as well. While we are ruling the country, many people believe that the Philippines and other nations cannot govern themselves effectively. Albert J. Beveridge is the biggest supporter of this belief. He says, "He has marked the American people as his chosen people to finally lead in regeneration of the world. This is the divine mission of America."
I can see why you support imperialism. Thank you for your time. As our viewers can see, there were many pros and cons to U.S. imperialism. Overall, the U.S. switch to imperialism had great positives. Without it, we wouldn't have economic dominance in the world and the ability to trade with more nations. Tune in next week to our new documentary, 6 Nations, 6 Rulers, 6 Wars.